There you go.
Hey, it's Aaron here at Triumph Roswell, here to go over your brand new 2025 Trident 660. So I always tell customers when I'm going over a bike with them, I like to go over what is on the outside of the bike. So first things first, I'll show you, obviously you got your gas cap right here in the center of your tank. Just flip the little Triumph triangle up, key in, and open up your gas tank. We here at Triumph Roswell usually recommend premium 93, obviously, but Triumph actually recommends you can use 87. So if you're in a pinch or don't have 93, you can use 87, so you're okay there. On this side, we actually have on the Trident 660's dipstick to check our oil. So that's how you would do that. You always want to make sure and check your oil. If the bike is from a cold start, run it for about 3 to 5 minutes. Kind of let it idle, then check it because you want to warm it up a little bit. And if you've just got done with a very long ride for the day, let it cool down for maybe 5 to 8 minutes. Just kind of let that oil settle back down, then check the oil. You never want to check it when it's on the side stand either. Always make sure it's upright when you're checking the oil on the Trident 660. These bikes take 10W40, and Triumph recommends the performance lubricants that they manufacture themselves. But if you do use a different oil, I recommend Castrol or Motul, and just stick with that oil throughout the life of the bike if you do swap. And then this is where you can obviously take your cap off if you need to fill up some oil. That's your oil filler cap. Then we also, on this side, we have a battery tender that we install on all our bikes. So just right there, this is a lead acid battery as well. So just make sure you don't use a lithium charger. They can tend to overcharge. And then to get the seat off of the Trident 660, key in this little slot down here, twist towards the front of the bike and lift from the rear of the seat. And there you go. Actually got a little Allen, that's a 5, and then a Phillips head here. Got our battery, fuses, and all that good stuff. And then to pop the seat back on, just guide it towards the front. And you will hear a click in the rear. It's kind of a very subtle click, but it's a little bit easier to hear in person. Obviously, we've got our passenger foot pegs here, all that good stuff. And then one other thing I'll show you on the front before we start going over kind of hand controls and stuff. So you have your VIN engraved on the neck right here, and then right behind your headlight, it's a little hard to see, but you do have your factory recommended tire pressure for the front and rear. It's usually a little easier if you turn the handlebars kind of this way and look from the front left of the bike, and you can see that they recommend 34 in the front and 42 in the rear. So have that on there. I also have it in all your booklets and stuff, and you can also look that up online. But if you're ever in a pinch and type of person that wants to see what's on the bike, there you are. All right. And make sure I didn't forget anything. All right. And then we actually have a steering lock on these as well. To engage your steering lock, left handlebar towards the tank, push down on the key, and just go into that lock position there. And now you can see our handlebars aren't going anywhere. So if you do, and you do have parking lights as well, if you wanted to use those, I recommend just do the steering lock and you should be fine. We also have an adjustable brake lever here, this little knob. To adjust it, just kind of pull that lever out like Zach's doing here, and then you spin this dial. The higher the number, the closer it is to the handlebar. The lower the number, the further away. So all that really is doing, if you have longer fingers, is just adjusting the position of the brake lever. It's not like changing where the pressure applies or anything like that. So just something to note. And then hand controls. So we've got on this left side here on the back end, we have our brights. So that's our bright switch right there. And we have our cruise control here as well. To operate cruise control, you gotta be in at least third, going above 35. You hit the button once, so it'll kind of engage the system, and then hit it again when you're at the speed you wanna be at, and then it'll just stay at that speed. To disengage it, just tap your brake. Pulling your clutch in will not disengage it. If you do speed up too, if you get are trying to go up a hill and wanna give it more gas, once you get off the gas, it'll come back down to the speed you had it set at, which is pretty cool. All right. This I'll show us here in a sec. This is kind of how we navigate through our screen. This is how we select options on our screen. And then we also have our blinker button, horn, and how to swap through our modes. And then on the right side switch cube, we have our kill switch, fuel pump primer, as well as our flashers. And then this is also our starter. So this primes our fuel pump when you press it down, and then you hold it down to start the bike. Triumphs, you always have to have your clutch held in, your clutch lever held in when you do start the bike. So just a heads up there. Obviously this bike, just one thing to note, if you are in gear and the kickstand is down, it will not start. It's a safety feature. And also if you're in neutral, you start the bike, your kickstand's down, and you kick into first, it will kill the bike. So it's just a kill switch on there so you're not driving away with your kickstand still down. And then obviously, as you can see here, we're in gear, in first, my kickstand is down and I'm pressing it, nothing's happening. So that's just what that is. That's why it's not starting, is because you're in gear and your kickstand's down. All right, so we have our TFT, as Triumph calls it, or your display here. So we've got our tachometer, fuel gauge. If you don't have the gear indicator on this screen here, it'll always be right here. So you can see we're in neutral right now, but it'll tell you if you go first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Then we have our miles per hour. First screen here is trip 1. And you can actually, you have 2 trips to cycle between them. I'm just hitting left and right on my little, I call it the D-pad here. So it's kind of hard to see, but if you see here, we have trip 1, and then you have trip 2. So I'm gonna reset trip 2 just to show you how to do that. If you need to reset a trip, just hold down the check mark here. That'll reset the trip for you. All right. And then to go up and down to other screen options, we just hit, again, up and down. So we have our fuel status here. So this is gonna show us our fuel status over the entire life of the bike. And then we have fuel status, miles to empty. And then we also have our average fuel status of the current ride you're on. So like when you're riding, this middle one here, it'll actually fluctuate and show you, like if you get on the gas, it'll go lower, get off the gas, it'll go up. So it's just like a real-time average. It's pretty cool. Again, I'm just scrolling down on this pad here to go to the next screen. Next we have coolant temp. This is obviously not gonna register until you start riding. And then as you ride about a mile or 2 down the road, you'll start to read your temp, and obviously it'll let you know if it's getting real hot or if it's usually sitting right around the middle. All right. And we have our service interval and odometer. So this bike we had PDI'd and set up in March. So it's not due for its first service until March of 2027 or in another 585 miles. So all Triumphs are due for their break-in at 600 miles. And you can see this bike only has 5 miles on it. We have our brightness here. So if we do need to adjust our brightness, get to this screen and just cycle left or right on our little pad here. Then this is where if you wanted to have the gear indicator kind of like on the forefront and on your main screen, and you also have time, temp, date, all that good stuff. Now this stuff here, this is if you were to do the Triumph connectivity module, the connectivity module is actually already included on this bike. It is if you wanted to like hook your phone up to it. I am more of a fan of personally the Quad Lock product, but if you do want to use the connectivity module, just call me, email me, and I can go over how to connect that for you. You have like if you wanted to change your cardo volume, use the navigation, the intercom, and then we're gonna go, that's our main menu. So this is how we can go into our settings. So to get into this menu, hit the check mark here when you're on this screen, obviously. You got a couple different things here. So first things first, we have riding modes. To go into this section, either hit right on the arrow, the D-pad, or hit the check mark. So you have 3 different modes, obviously, on this bike. You have rain, road, and sport. And it kind of just, this will allow you to make some adjustments. Like let's say you rode sport and you were like, man, the throttle map, the mapping felt great, so I'm gonna leave it there. But I felt the traction control in road was actually better. So then you can kind of adjust that and change it to road by hitting the check mark and just kind of customize your own modes a little bit. And then I'm just going back by hitting left on this arrow here. So now we'll go down and we'll go to bike setup. So TSA, this is your Triumph Shift Assist. This bike does come standard with a quick shifter. If you did want to turn it off, you could disable it here. I personally recommend never turning it off in the settings. And if you want to just shift normally, just use your clutch like normal. So the way the quick shifter works is it does have an auto blip feature. Basically, in my experience, the way I've used it and the best way it's worked for me is when I'm upshifting, stay in the gas and just right about at that normal point when you would normally be shifting, just stay in the throttle and kick up. Don't have to worry about your clutch lever at all. So it's nice and super easy when you're coming out of a corner to just shift really fast, and a lot of track guys use it too. When you're downshifting, just no clutch, same thing as always. Kind of be at that RPM range you would normally be at and downshift. You don't want to be too high in the RPMs when you're downshifting with the quick shifter. It's just not good for the motor. And indicators, they're set up to automatically turn off after a certain time frame. If you do want to change that and turn them off yourself, you would hit manual. Traction control, wanted to get a little squirrely and turn traction control off, that's TC there. And then this is just another section to show you when you're due for your next service. So you're due for service in another 585 miles or in March of next year. All right. Trip setup. So this is where if you wanted to have your trips reset automatically based on a time setting. So like, let's say you're like, oh, trip 1, I want it to reset every 12 hours. That's how you can do that there. And then if you were like, oh, I only want to see 1 trip, I don't want to see 2 trips. Turn trip 2 display off. All right. And we have our display set up here. So this has some pretty cool stuff in this. This is just another section where if you wanted to adjust your brightness, you can. This is a very important one. So we have visible trays. So this is where on that kind of main screen where we had a lot of options, if you wanted to turn some stuff off, not see so much stuff, you can go through and like, if you don't care to see the Bluetooth connectivity settings, I'm gonna turn those off for now, and then you can always add them back. Just uncheck. So I'm just going through, going down, unchecking these options, and I'll show you on the main screen. It's just gonna clear up a lot, and there's gonna be a lot less stuff you're gonna have to cycle through. So I'm just gonna leave the main stuff most of my customers keep on. And we're gonna go back out of that screen to our next one, which is shift indicator. So I always like to leave this on until you do your first service. So what this will do is your tachometer here on your screen will flash when you are supposed to be shifting during the break-in period. So it already, the computer in the bike notates where you are at on your miles, and then also where you should be at on your RPM range during that 600 miles. So I recommend leaving it and running in, and then at your first service, we'll turn it on to disabled for you. If it's bothering you and you do want to turn it off, by all means, you totally can. It's not like it's a governor or anything like that. It's just more of a suggestion. And then language, units, clock, date, all that good stuff. If you did want to do the Bluetooth connectivity, this is where you can hook that up there. And if you wanted to factory reset the bike all the way back to all the original settings, that's where you do that. And then real quick, just to kind of show you what we were talking about with the visible trays. So now when we go to our main menu here, just a lot less that we have to cycle through. So normally there was about 10 things we had to go through when we first went through. Now there's only about 5. So that's pretty much everything I go over normally on these Trident 660s. Feel free to call us at 470-563-6007 or email me at aaron@triumphforoswald.com if you have any other questions. Thanks.